from Los Angeles. This is the Special Report with Areva Martin.
Today, I have a story that is as outrageous as it is heartbreaking. Imagine serving your country with honor, discipline, and sacrifice, only to be cast aside when you're on the brink of securing your future. That's exactly what happened to thousands of veterans, including my guest today, Marine veteran Gabriel D'Alatri. But see, Gabe was just 5 days away from becoming a permanent employee at the IRS when he, along with nearly 6,000 other veterans, was fired in Elon Musk's controversial purge of the federal workforce under the so called DOGE initiative. These are hardworking Americans, many of them veterans who dedicated themselves to public service only to be thrown out like yesterday's news. Gabe joins us to share his story, expose the devastating impact of this unjust firing, and make the case for why he and thousands of other veterans deserve their jobs back. Welcome to the Special Report, Gabe. So grateful to have you here to share your story. I am, as a civil rights attorney who does a lot of employment litigation, let me just start by saying I am personally horrified, professionally horrified at what happened to you and other veterans who have served this country so admirably to be in this situation. So I just wanted to express that to you. But I want to have you take us back. Take us back to that moment when you learned that you were being let go.
Thank you for having me on, Areva. I appreciate it. Really do. It was just a normal day going into work. Wasn't different, like I said, than any other day. Came in, I got the call from my boss that I was going to be let go. He wasn't able to keep me. He tried his best to keep me, but got the phone call, and then we got an email from an email account from HR, I assume, saying that we were let go due to performance reasons. Didn't even give us any reasons, any performance issues. It didn't say what the performance was and what the issues were. It just gave us, you're let go for performance reasons. We had an hour to get all our stuff packed up and turned in, and then we were escorted out.
Okay, that I've been involved in a lot of terminations. I know that oftentimes companies will walk people out that have been terminated, but again, this isn't your typical employer-employee relationship. You all are veterans, you're working for the IRS, the government. What was your initial reaction being told you had an hour and then being escorted out of the building as if you were somehow dangerous?
It was just sad. I mean, I really didn't think it would happen. I thought I was going to spend the rest of my working career there. I was going to do my 20, 25 years, call it a day. So I didn't really have too many emotions at the time. It was just like, damn, it's happening. Didn't have time to really set in. And it just, I don't know. It was actually just, it was really, really sad. I don't know how to describe it. But it didn't hit me till a day or two afterwards. And like, once it really set in, that's when I started to call people, call my congressman, try to take action on, try to get my job back. Cause I knew that I didn't deserve to lose my job. I was doing everything the way that I should. Performance was great. Reviews were in. Everything was perfect. So it was disheartening to say the least.
So you mentioned, Gabe, that this email came to you, said you were being let go because of performance, but it sounds like, based on what you just said, you didn't have negative performance issues. You were performing your job at the level that had been established for you.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, there's been court rulings that have like kind of overturned us and reinstated us. So I mean, it is coming out that it was unlawful in a way. So I think justice is being served in a sense. We're reinstated at the moment. So I, it turns out not that it was illegal. There was certain, and I'm not saying that they can't let people go. You can fire people from a government job, and we're not saying that we're what's the word, entitled to these jobs. That's not what anybody's saying at all. It's just the way that we were
Right.
fired. That's not the way to go about it. You should there's ways set up to let us go, and if they were to let us go for performance reasons, they would have had to shown us uh receipts of
Where the
poor
poor
performance, but
performance
they
was,
didn't.
right?
Yeah, they didn't do it.
Did that feel like not only unfair because you were given no notice, no opportunity to state what your performance had been, but did it feel like an excuse, and even a lie. Like you're firing me, obviously, and it has nothing to do with my performance. So to say performance is even more insulting.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I did feel that way, and I still feel that way. But I mean, it was reversed. So not that I'm not. I'm just trying to say what happened. I'm not gonna like go back and hash on it. But like, I'm glad we got reinstated, and I'm glad that Law and Order had its day, and it was shown that all this was illegal, and I'm happy about that. That there is evidence that it was illegal, and judges are saying it's illegal.
Well, you took action, Gabe. You said, of course, you were numb when this first happened. You didn't really know how to feel about it, but you said after a couple of days, you started calling your congressman to try to get some help. Do you know if that was what others that were in your situation were doing? Were they also working the phones, trying to call their congress people, trying to get help?
Yeah, a lot of people were. I was just lucky enough that Congressman Joe Courtney picked me to go to the State of the Union and get my story out. So I was one of the lucky few. Uh,
Mhm.
but I know that not that a lot of people called their congressman, and not that it fell on deaf ears, but there were so many calls coming in. I wasn't the only one, so thousands of people were calling, especially in Connecticut. We have a decent amount of federal employees. Like Congressman Courtney said, we have a huge sub base in the southeastern part of our state, and it's a huge employer in the Eastern District of Connecticut. So it's a lot of people took a hit, and then Hartford, where I was at the IRS, a lot of people took a hit. So it was definitely not a fun thing.
So we know, Gabe, a lot of people go into the military, whether it's the Marines, the Air Force, the Army, and they come out planning to have a continued, career working for the federal government, not in the military per se, but in a government job like the one you were in. So knowing that this was a part of your life's plan, a part of your career plan, did that make kind of the emotional hurt even more intense because this is a job you were planning for, thought you would be there until you retired?
Yeah, it did. That's why I would. That's why I called my congressman. I mean, I'm not. If I was performing poorly and I wasn't doing my job up to par, and they fired me, I really wouldn't argue it. I'm not ignorant to that fact. If I was performing poor, that I didn't deserve my job, I wouldn't fight for it so much. So I mean, that's why I did fight for it. I felt very strongly about it, and I mean, I'm glad to be back and reinstated.
Mhm. You're back, which is wonderful. Congratulations.
Thank
It
you.
doesn't sound like you've been an advocate all of your life, but you jumped into advocacy mode. You called your congressman and you had an impact. And I'm sure the impact wasn't just on your job, but it was on the jobs of some of those other employees who had suffered a similar fate. But how does it feel being back? I mean, can you trust that you're going to have a job and that you'll be able to move into, permanent long-term employment given how you were treated?
Honestly, I have no idea. I don't. I don't even know how to feel about it. Honestly, I don't feel optimistic or not optimistic. It's just a giant unknown at this moment. I have no new information besides that fact that I was reinstated, but that's about it.
Have you gotten any help? I know the congressman, so kudos to him for stepping up and helping you. But I understand you're married, you have a family, so stable employment for all Americans, and definitely those of us who have families, is critically important. But were you able to go to any resource, whether it was a internal union or an advocacy group or a veterans organization? Were there any resources beyond the congressman that were there for you?
Yeah, I mean, we have the NCEU. We're Chapter 18 in Hartford, and I was covered by Donna Roberts. She's our union steward, and she's been awesome through this whole thing. She's gone out and spoken out about it too, so it was great to have her on my back. And she's very knowledgeable about the inner workings of how government employees are protected under unions. So it was good to have a ear to chew when I needed to talk, and she had a lot of good information for me. And luckily, my wife too. She's an educated woman. She's a dental hygienist, so she's able to go to work. So financially, it's not too much of a hit on us. But we did just have the baby, and it wasn't our plan for her to jump right back into work. She wanted to take a year and a half just to raise our daughter, and I agreed about that too.
Wow. Thank goodness, as you said, your wife does have a skill where she can have gainful employment. That's really important for obviously your family stability. Let's talk about Elon Musk, though. He's highly controversial figure, brought into this White House by Donald Trump, given this broad authority, even over what some say is a violation of Constitution. Some say he is overstepping his bounds as it relates to Congress, even. What do you think about how he has handled these mass firings and what it says about the government's willing to give someone like him, who's not elected, who's not confirmed by the U.S. Senate, so much power.
Yeah, it's mind blowing to me. Like I'm not going to sit here and say that Elon Musk isn't a smart person. I mean, he's got a bunch of big companies that do a lot of good things and they make a lot of money. I mean, he's the richest man in the world, so clearly he knows what he's doing. But I've always said that I don't think that directly translates to government. I think governments run its own way, and I don't think you can bring something from the private sector and try to slap it on the government and say this is how things are going to operate and expect things to run smoothly. I think that we're kind of seeing that this isn't the way to go about it. And I just thought it was impersonal the way everybody was fired. I mean, if they came down and looked at what we were doing and say, hey, this job's wasteful, I mean, I could just see it, the justification of firing people, but I just don't think that you can bring things from the private sector, just bring it over to government and say, hey, this is how things are going to run now. I just don't think that's a good way to do it. I really don't. And like him having too much power, not that I'm not going to speak on it too much. I'm just now starting to get into politics in a way and just understand how things work. So like, I'm not sure if he has too much power. I leave that up to the elected officials in my state to like see if he has too much power. Law will. I believe in the law in this country, and I think law will show if he has too much power. So I'm just trying to stay optimistic in that sense.
Gabe, over the last weekend or so, we saw hundreds of thousands. Some people say 600,000, some say over a million, took to the streets to protest Donald Trump. And a lot of folks who were in these protest marches across the country, many of them interviewed, said they had voted for Donald Trump. And I understand that you also voted for Donald Trump in this last presidential election. What
Yes.
did you believe Donald Trump would bring to the country that compelled you to vote for him?
I mean, I was the whole like making government efficient. Like I didn't take that for what they're taking it as firing everybody. I thought they would make because there is ways to make government more efficient. Anybody you talk to in government can tell you that there is a lot of bloat, there is a lot of red tape, things that slows things down. I was just thinking like things like that would be removed. I didn't think people would be fired, divisions would be removed. I didn't think that would happen. I mean, in the whole campaign, if you really listen to it, they claim to be big for veterans. So I mean to see what they're doing now, it's actually like very disheartening. So, and I wasn't too much of a fan of the last administration. So that's just kind of the position they put the country in financially. Like I said, I'm an independent voter. I've said this many times. I'm always down the middle. I would never not vote for a Democrat, and I would never not vote for a Republican. I kind of am fluid with my politics. I was until I was getting into it. So I never really took a hard line stance on parties. So I mean, he just
Mhm.
sounded a lot more just how do I put this? Like how the veteran community was. It seemed like that the Democratic Party like kind of didn't care about veterans. They were caring about other things, and it seemed like these guys were going to put veterans first. So that's ultimately why they got my vote. So I thought the VA was going to be cleaned up because the VA, as a patient of the VA has a decent amount of flaws. Things could be quicker, but I don't think it should be dismantled and ripped down. I thought that they were just going to fix it, like go in there, look at it a little bit, and see what needs adjustments. I didn't think everything was going to be ripped down, so it was shocking to me, to be honest.
Any regrets, Gabe? We've heard a lot of voters like you, some Republicans, some independents that said they voted for Donald Trump, thought he would focus on the economy, bringing the price of groceries down, and really addressing the economic hurt that so many families are experiencing. Uh, some say they have regrets. If they had to do it all over again, they wouldn't have voted for him. How are you feeling?
I don't think I regret it in the sense of like my vote counting. I think he would have. I could have convinced a lot of people not to vote for him. I think, and he still would have won. Not that I regret it, but I wish I just informed myself a little better, read into things like how maybe if I knew that I was going to lose my job, I would have had a different outlook on things. But I mean, it's still early in my sense. So like we could all look really stupid, and this could all work, but like it doesn't look like it. But it's not regret, but I just wish I informed myself better. I really do.
What would you have wanted to know, Gabe, that you didn't know that may have informed you to vote differently?
I mean, the firing all the federal employees. I would never fire to lose my job, and I wouldn't give my job up to say, oh, to like give my. I wouldn't give my job up to per se make the country better in that way because I know that that's just not the case with my job.
So if you had known that there was going to be this kind of mass firing of veterans, mass firing of other government employees, it might have caused you to look at your vote differently.
Yeah.
And that's fair. And I imagine that tens of thousands of other uh, government employees, many of whom voted for Trump, I've seen some of them in the media saying that they would have voted differently had they known that Elon Musk would have been given this kind of authority and
Yeah,
permission
I
by
didn't think
Trump
that this
administration.
much authority was going to be given. I don't think anybody thought that. I really don't. It didn't seem like this much authority was going to be given, to be honest. I didn't think it was just going to be like, here you go, have fun, like do what you want. I didn't think that was going to happen at all. I don't think anybody did. I really don't. Some people are
Were-
happy with it. I don't get it, but some people are happy with it.
If you had a chance to speak directly to Elon Musk or, for that fact, Donald Trump, what would you say to them?
Just to look, to like take a little more personal look at things, go down and see who you're firing. Just go see the people that you're affecting. I think that's what more politicians should do, is just be more, I mean, in tune with people, like be at a personal level. Like these guys, they don't have the same problems as we do. Like a lot of us, we got to cut coupons, like, buy groceries and save our money. Like these guys don't have those same problems. So, I mean, I feel like they should just come down on our level and look at things and see who it's affecting and if this job is really needed and if it's really worth to cut it like this to cost somebody their livelihood. Because, I mean, just being on the veteran side, I think it's like 17 veterans a day kill themselves due to suicide for whatever reason. And I think this would add to that number because, I mean, the federal government employs one third of the employment field is veterans. I mean, they rely on these jobs after they get out of service. And I mean, I think it's good for some of these guys that like have severe PTSD issues to be in the same group of people like when they get out of the military. So it's very comforting to them because I know if you look into psychology, the way PTSD works, it helps a lot of guys to have like a routine, to be around the same people and be able to talk about it and not isolate themselves from what happened. Talking about things makes it better. So it just having that camaraderie when you get out to be around other veterans and talk about what happened to you, I think that was good for a lot of guys. And I think I would just tell the administration to take a look at that and just see who you're affecting.
You said earlier, Gabe, that you thought that this party, that Donald Trump was the party for veterans, that would take care of veterans, would be a champion for veterans. Do you still believe that?
I don't know, honestly. Like I said, it's still early. I mean, they're doing a lot of changes at the VA, I think. So, I mean, all these changes could work out. I just don't want to sound like I know. I just don't want to sound like give definitive answers because like I really don't know what's going to happen. I mean, it's like there's so much happening at once and every day, and court rulings reversing things and applying things. It's just so much. I mean, it's just crazy to me. It honestly is.
Gabe, were you at all familiar with Project 2025?
Just people talking about it up until the election of like a reason not to vote for him. I didn't really look into it, and then when he said that he had nothing to do with it, when he didn't believe in it or not believe in it, but he didn't know anything about it, had read it and wasn't going to like implement it or anything like that, I kind of believed it. So I mean that's all I really heard of it. I didn't dive deep into it. I've dived deep a little bit into it now that I've gotten fired. Just how people have said like this was the playbook. So I have looked into it. I have been reading about it.
It sounds like, Gabe, you personally, and I would imagine you would say this to your fellow veterans, that in these really big critical elections, folks need to do a deeper dive. They need to have more information. They need to inform themselves better about the policies of the various candidates.
Mhm. Yeah, and I think that people should, if they don't like what's being done, I think they should run for office. Like, not that this has given me a motivation, but after talking with Congressman Courtney and my state representative is actually one of my neighbors around here, Kevin Brown, they've kind of motivated me to like join town committees and kind of not get into politics and to say, but get involved into your community. And I think if everybody has a problem with the way things are going, I think they should do that because I mean that is your right as a U.S. citizen, is freedom of speech. And if you want to run for political office, run for political office. I think a lot more people should do that. And come, I think mostly as American people, we all got to come together, put our differences aside, and shake hands and do what's best for each other and what's best for the country to work together. I think that's huge, and I think that we I mean, there's a lot of hate going on with this, and I think that's awful. We're Americans, like we live in the same land. Many of us share neighborhoods, schools, communities. So I think people should just come together more. And that's like a big message that I want to put out there, that enough with the name calling, enough with the arguing. Let's get together, roll our sleeves up, and let's get to work, and let's fix the things that's wrong with this country and communities that people want fixed.
And just lastly, Gabe, despite the setback, again, I'm so happy that you were reinstated, and hopefully many of your fellow veterans will be as well. But in this moment, are you hopeful about the future of America?
Yeah, I'm always hopeful about America. I think America's not politicians. I don't think that's America. I think America's the people in your communities, the people that you work with, that are in your communities, and I think that's America. And I think nobody will ever be able to break that. That everybody will be able to lock arms one day and be together as Americans. So I always have faith for America, and I always will.
Now, I heard you say you're not necessarily planning in this moment to run for office, but I don't know, Gabe. Sounds like I might turn on the television one day and see Gabe for Congress, or Gabe for Senate, or Gabe running for office, because you said if you don't like what's going on, don't be a part of the problem, be a part of the solution. Uh, which sounds like you're ready to roll up your sleeves and do that hard work. And I'm grateful for you for how you're sharing this story. Hopefully it will be inspirational to other veterans or other government employees who've been fired. Do you have a final message, Gabe, for anyone that's in your situation who's like you, had planned to spend their career at the federal government and only to be laid off, transitioned out, fired, walked out the building? What would you say to someone sitting, listening, watching, who's in a similar situation?
Yeah, like I said, look, I've said in the past, call your congressman, call your elected officials, state representatives. They can lead you in the right direction, and that's what they're there for. We're their constituents, and they work for us in a sense, not in that way, but they do work. They do work for us. So I mean, they want you to call them. They want you to try and fix those problems. Uh, and I mean, I would love one day. I'd have to do a lot of work, but I would love to serve people one day. I really would. I love being a civil servant, and I would love to serve the people of America in my state. I really would. And if people have a problem with it, like I said, get out there and run. Get vocal. Get into your communities. Hear what the problems are, and then take action and take care of them in a sense.
Wow. Well, thank you so much, Gabe, for sharing your story. It's definitely a story of resilience, of service, and in some ways of injustice. But you are not letting it make you negative about the country. It sounds like you figured out a way to move forward despite the setback. But what you have shared is definitely a call to action. You've said it over and over again. The folks don't like what's going on in this country. Get active, get loud, get involved, get engaged. We all know no veteran who served this country, who gave so much, should be fired for phony and fake performance reasons, should be thrown out of the U.S. government. And we hope that this is a wake-up call for Elon Musk, for the Trump administration. I'm grateful for your congressman that helped you out. We stand with you, and we will keep shining a light on your fight and on the fight of so many other veterans across this country. Again, thank you for being here, and thank you for speaking out.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you, Gabe, so much. I'm glad you are reinstated, and hopefully you will get back to that permanent position that you definitely deserve.
I hope so too.
Again, I have to, in my mind, I keep thinking and seeing you running for some office, so don't rule it out.
No, I'd love to do it. I got to get a little more. I got to polish my speech up a little better, I think. But I would love to do it. I've talked to them, and they think I'd be a good candidate for it. And I got to figure out how to do it. But I really do want to do it one day.
Oh, that's awesome. That's incredible. Well, thank you again, and keep us posted.
Have a good one. Thank you.
Throw your name into that ring. We'd like to know about it.
I will. Thank you.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.
Yep, bye.
Calling all BIPOC college students, recent college graduates, and clinicians. Here's my story about CORE, a unique workforce development program that is changing lives. My brother is the most caring person you will ever meet. With his autism diagnosis, my family had to fight to make sure that the resources he deserved were available. That's why my goal has always been to help children with developmental disabilities and give them chances my brother may have missed. So when I heard about the CORE Fellowship, I knew immediately it was for me. The fellowship opens doors for myself and others like me. They offer training, a stipend while you're learning, job placement, and they'll pay up to $10,000 of my student loan debt. The Core Fellowship is going to allow me to achieve my life's purpose. They care about me, so I can care about others, like my brother. Visit the website to learn more about the Core Fellowship. Discover your core passion, your power, and your purpose. Apply today.